Is it disrespectful to say you don't like a city? Or was LeBron James out of line for speaking bad about Memphis around white people?
If someone pays you for a performance, do you have to follow the rules? Or is Trick Daddy right that you should never switch up for anybody?
And when you become super successful, people start looking at you different. Can you be a millionaire and still be a good person like Jay-Z is arguing?
All that and more on today's episode of the Blackest Nerdy Podcast.
Adam has arrived.
Hey, Maurice and Odie gonna take over like Zach and Cody. Blackish Nerdy is the best podcast, gonna boom like Wile E. Coyote. Gonna make magic, they move like they hairy. Ain't talking about mental health, no, it's not scary. You know that she coming up with the astrology. Mo got a comic and that's the best policy. Maurice the GOAT, talking about animation cause you know. Odie, she moving wavy like the boat. Watching some movies and she's taking notes. Yeah, kick back, listen. Blackish Nerdy have risen. Upload on a mission. 5 stars, never dissing. Blackish Nerdy, ooh. Blackish Nerdy, yeah. Blackish Nerdy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Blackest Nerdy Podcast, the only podcast where two sexy black nerds get together to shoot the shit. I am Mo, aka Kid Licorish.
And I'm Odie.
And together we are the aforementioned Snerds here on episode 182 of the Blackest Nerdy Podcast. How you doing this week?
I'm all right. Off. Oh, excuse me. Off of work this week because of spring break.
Shout out to spring break.
So it is nice to have little to no responsibilities for the week,
Right.
and not have to deal with these children's shenanigans. So yeah, I'm doing well for the most part. I mean, things could be better, but that's always a
Sure.
thing. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I got some hopefully good news for this coming week. And honestly, I'm kind of getting I'm tempering my expectations, but I'm getting a little bit excited about my birthday coming up.
Well, you should be. Your birthday is your own personal holiday.
I know that. I'm just saying that all things considered, with everything else going on around my sphere, it is a little bit difficult to get excited, but things are in motion. I'm making little plans here and there to have a small little celebration for my birthday.
Yeah, as you should.
So it should be good.
Because regardless of the shenanigans that are going on and the chicanery that's always happening, I think it is important for us to take time to celebrate ourselves, even when things are not perfect.
Sure.
They may not always be the best.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we're still alive, and as long as you are alive, it is possible to do something different and change your circumstances. Because we are not trees; we can move.
Yes, we are not Groots. We are not Ents from the Lord of the Rings series. We can move.
What are they called? Ints?
They're called Ents, yeah.
Oh, what do the ints do? Are they trees?
Yeah, they're trees. Do you remember the second movie? Two Towers?
I mean, it's been so long, but it's been a long time ever since I've watched that movie. But who were the ints in the second movie?
They were walking, talking trees.
Oh, okay. Yes. All right. Well, they also could move. So we can be ints.
Yes, we could be Ents.
Because they move.
Yes,
They're not stuck.
agreed. We could be Ents.
We could be ints. We could be heroes.
We can be Ents just for one day.
You know, why not?
All right. Shall we get into the mess?
Yes, there's a lot of shenanigans that happened this week, so we can get into it.
When you want a hot meal without a big deal, what are you gonna pick?
Pop topics. Okay, pop topics. Where do you want to start?
I think that we should kick things off with LeBron James. LeBron James. So this week, folks have been upset with LeBron because I don't know why this was recorded, but he's playing a round of golf with some folks. And during that round, I guess the conversation came up of whether or not he would ever go to the Grizzlies. I guess I had seen over the past few weeks, people were talking about he should retire with the Grizzlies for whatever reason, probably just to bring some people to the Memphis Grizzlies franchise. They are, I mean, obviously they're in the NBA. People know about them. I wouldn't call them necessarily a popular team in the sense that I don't think as of right now who they have.
When you think of the NBA, you don't think of the Grizzlies.
Yeah, and LeBron James is someone who has had a great career. So if he decided to end with the Grizzlies, like that would be cool for them. It would bring money to the city, some notoriety to the team, whatsoever you. So people have been kind of talking about that. And so I wouldn't even call this a hot mic because he knew he was being recorded. But he had some interesting things to say about the possibility of going to the Grizzlies, which let me pull it up. All right.
Guy even talk about it in the NBA. Like we all stand at the fucking Hyatt at 41 years old. You think I'm gonna do that shit? Being in Memphis on a fucking random ass Thursday. I'm not like the first guy even talk about it in the NBA. Like we all like, you guys have to move. Just go over to Nashville. You got Vanderbilt over there. You got the fucking NASCAR. You got a stadium. Don't they got a hockey team too?
Yeah, Predators.
Like they got everything.
Doesn't look like LeBron's going to be on the Grizzlies anytime soon. So Grizzly fans out there.
Yeah, they know. Their only chance was in 2003 if they'd have won the lottery. Give me that. And I might have pulled a Eli Manning and not showed up
For the games.
Okay, for context for the listeners of the audio podcast, LeBron James is saying all this stuff while in full golf attire on a golf course.
Surrounded by white men.
Yes. First and foremost, I just want to point out that regardless of anything, Memphis, you got to change the team name for the Predators. Not a good name. Not a good name at all. I doubt it was named after the sci-fi alien villain, but in general, I would be curious as to figure out what the mascot for the Predators is. But
Donald Trump.
Either way, you got to change that name. You just have to. It's no bueno on this end.
Epstein's Island.
What would the costume be? Just an island?
Yeah. Like a rock from the island.
Well, that would be confusing because the rock exists. It can't just be the rock.
No, it would be a rock from the island.
Yeah, but it would be confusing. Like
It would be confused with the rest.
with the rock. Yeah.
All right. Oh, well, that's true. Well, either way, terrible name. Now, folks they're upset with this because they felt like it was anti-black to be talking down about Memphis, which has a long black history there. I mean, not to say Memphis is not known necessarily as like, well, it is a big city in the sense that there's a lot of things that have happened there. Definitely in the South, that could be considered like a big city that people would go to for whether it was music, barbecue, just in general. So folks took some umbrage with these comments.
So I can understand why people in Memphis would take umbrage with LeBron's statement. Mm-hmm. I do have to push back on the idea that it's like shitting on a black city thing.
Well, I think it is shitting on a black city, and you're talking about
like
there's nothing
there's
nothing to do.
I
but
say
there's
that
so many there's plenty of people who were born and raised in Memphis and or who have visited Memphis who've had a great time. Like there's a lot of history there.
I'm not saying there isn't history in Memphis, and I'm not saying that it isn't a black city. I would argue that nothing in this clip would indicate that he's specifically talking about Memphis as if it's a black city.
No,
you know what I mean?
I don't think
I would also argue that, quite frankly, like I know that Memphis is a black city, but I wouldn't necessarily like say that it's a go-to as far as like black cities. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I would argue.
And when I say go-to, I mean like the knowledge of, if you put a list of black cities, I don't think that like most people would think of Memphis like immediately as a black city at the forefront. You know what I mean?
Well,
like when I hear Memphis, I think the South. I don't necessarily think like immediately think that it's a black city.
I
I know it's a black city, but that's not my go-to.
I know that it's a black city, and I think when he drew a comparison, he said not Memphis but Nashville, where Nashville has all the things that he was kind of bringing up, whether it was the hockey, it was NASCAR, like Vanderbilt. These are kind of white institutions, right, that are there. And he's like, oh, I want to go there because it's more things to do. But things to do for who? NASCAR is having, there are been black people who have liked NASCAR for always, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in recent years, we've gotten more black drivers. There's that one girl, I think her name is Brianna, who's like the youngest black woman, and I think the only black woman to be in like a pit crew. So we know that there's been changes, but NASCAR is also a place that had to tell its people to stop bringing Confederate flags
Sure.
to the races, because it was like, we don't want that to be who we are or whatever. So I think, to me, the reason why I feel like people have taken such a stance on this and it being anti-black is because you are this lone black man talking to all these other wealthy white folks, shitting on Memphis for really no reason. Like, yeah, Memphis may not have as much of the lights and glitz and glamour as Nashville, but I would say I wouldn't consider either any of those places if I'm thinking about a big city. Obviously, I'm coming from New York, so I'm thinking of, when I think about Memphis and Nashville, I think those are like small, big cities.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a place where there's not much going on, so the draw of them is that you have a lot more going on than the rest of Tennessee. But I do think, when I think about Memphis, I do draw more of a connection to the black people of Memphis and just the historical aspects of it. And I think that shitting on it in front of white people is kind of weird. I think, like, also just having this frat boy voice on, dressed in your golf polos, your chino shorts or whatever, it's kind of weird and telling of, like, you're from Akron, Ohio. There's nothing in fucking Ohio. There's nothing in Akron, Ohio, to, like, write home. Akron. Well, I don't even know how to say the city, so you should know how much people are actually talking about it. Like, so for you to come from a place where people, one, barely know about it. The only reason they really know about it is you, because there's nothing else really, like, that's a highlight of the city. So for you to talk about another city that is, to me, more well known than where you're coming from, as if there's nothing to do there, is weird, especially doing it in front of white people. And I think that the people's comments about it being anti-black is because you're comparing these two cities. One has a more, like, I would say, a white fan base compared to the other. But I think that we have to be careful when we are in mixed company about how we are talking about places that should have some reverence to our community.
So I personally believe that LeBron James. I personally think that LeBron James is speaking on Memphis out of a very limited experience. Like, he's talking about Memphis as if, like, they didn't have Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's talking as if Memphis is mainly just vibes and barbecue. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, basically, LeBron, your experience from Memphis has been basically, from what I've experienced, just the guest locker room, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that you had to stay at the Hyatt whenever you go to Memphis, and it's not your vibe. But Memphis has a lot to offer, mm-hmm. and it just comes from a very limited scope of an idea. So, you know, just in general, LeBron James, Memphis is not bad. I understand it's not your vibe, but, you know, knock it off.
And
knock it off.
I think that I could give you a few things that are historically black in Memphis that I think that anyone who, whether you're black or white or anyone living in America, should go and see, just for the historical value and to see the things that black people have been doing within the state. So, number one, the Lorraine Motel is a civil rights landmark. The Lorraine Hotel is where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. And obviously there was a reason why he was there at the hotel, because he was there, he was speaking on segregation and civil rights. So that is, I mean, for black people, a key part of black history of the civil rights movement. The start of Stax Records, which launched the careers of singers like Otis Redding, Isaac Hayes, the Staple Singers, also which created space for artists like 3-6 Mafia, Young Dolph, and Glorilla, modern, to become big artists. Ida B. Wells, she had an anti-lynching crusade that she worked on after the lynching of 3 black businessmen in Memphis. There was Beale Street was once called Black America's Main Street because of all the cultural. It was a cultural and economic hub. The Kojic Church was founded there in 1897, and Orange Mound, the first black neighborhood built by black people, was established there in 1890. So that's not even all the things that you could talk about. So I think when you're talking about a city, obviously, like, as I said, as a New Yorker, I view most, if not all, big cities in America as like, comparatively. Because obviously New York is a unique unicorn where most likely you might find a few different things, but you're not going to find all the stuff you find here outside of the state. However, when I go to different cities, I'm able to appreciate the things that those cities bring. They may not have a metro system. They may not be open all night long. They may not have like the kind of diversity and things like that you find here in New York, but there's still a lot of cool things that you can see and experience. And I think that it's just important when you're around mixed company, when you're around white people, that you're not shitting on places where black people are, because feel like that gives them they feel like, oh, okay, I can talk shit about Memphis too, and you can't. Nobody can talk shit about Memphis. Okay, if this was a conversation where he was at the barbershop or whatever, fine. But I think it's the location that he was talking about it, and the people he was talking about it with, that made it weird.
Understandable.
And it kind of brings up that point of like, black people, once you get a certain amount of money, it feels like you go from being black to green.
Sure. If you had to summarize a message into one sentence for LeBron James, what would it be?
Don't shit on Memphis.
There we go. Don't shit on Memphis.
So we have another beef here. And the beef that we have today is between Trick Daddy and the AKAs, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So this past weekend, the South Atlantic region hired Trick Daddy for their conference in Orlando. And let's just say that some shenanigans ensued. I'm going to play a clip of a little bit of what was going on so that you can kind of understand why things have transpired the way that they did, and how this beef between the rapper and this illustrious sorority came to be.
Hey man, I flew out to Orlando to see Trick Daddy. Who is that? Man, this is not the Trick Daddy I remember. They're about to give my mama a heart attack. What do you say? Everybody leaving. What's going on? this motherfucker. What he say? To all my ladies on this motherfucker. What? Everybody in here is 60 years old. What is he talking about? Sexy motherfucker. Oh, they done shut the concert down. I told y'all he up there doing too much. Y'all know they passed their bedtime. It's about 10:30. They done shut it down. They done shut down the concert.
Let's give Trick Daddy a round of applause.
Trick Daddy is 60 years old. Talking about what?
We went a little too far.
So that was the concert. Now they put out a statement. The AKAs put out a statement. Says, to my sisters who are attending the 73rd South Atlantic Regional Conference, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated South Atlantic Region contracted with Trick Daddy, a rapper from Miami, to perform a selected list of songs after our step and stroll competition on Friday night. We met several times with him and his team to detail our requirements, including attire, language, and specific songs. Unfortunately, our requirements were ignored. The language, the lyrics, and the comments made by the artists were not acceptable. I ended the performance because of the disrespect for our organization and for our brand. Our step teams represented the creativity, the discipline, and excellence that make our sisterhood proud, and I regret that this performance detracted from that experience. Thank you, my sisters, for extending grace and continuing to uphold the standards of dignity that define Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the South Atlantic region. Tiffany Moore Russell. So what did you think? What do you think about what happened?
So my main question is why? Why did the AKAs hire Trick Daddy for their concert? Like, I do not understand. Like, from my limited knowledge of the AKAs, brand-wise, doesn't seem to mesh well with Trick Daddy's aesthetic. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, quite frankly, even in the clip, the person who was recording the concert and his reaction to the concert was pointing out the fact that the crowd was, older or a mix of older people? Mm-hmm. I don't think that is Trick Daddy's demographic.
Well,
yes, I'm sure. Yes, I know that Trick Daddy has been around since the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, these women were listening to Trick Daddy when they were younger.
But again, the brand of the AKAs doesn't mesh well with the brand of Trick Daddy. Yeah. Like, if you want to, I feel like the AKAs would probably go with an R&B artist or something like that for their performance. It doesn't make sense. The motherfucker has a song called I'm a Thug. What makes you think that the man who has a song who says I'm a thug meshes well with the AKA aesthetic, the pink and green? Does I'm a Thug make sense with pink and green? I don't think so.
So
I do not think so.
I think that I would not have chosen Trick Daddy. He has his songs. Mm-hmm. I mean, Nah Nigga is not a song that I would think would be acceptable, even though we love it. Like, the thing is of course, the stereotype of AKAs is that they're very prim and proper.
Sure.
That they wouldn't have listening to any of this music, but I think that is puts them in a box that doesn't really showcase actually who they are. Like, the AKAs are intelligent, beautiful, strong, community conscious women, but I don't think that you could have all those things and also enjoy a little bit of ratchet turn up music, right? And then when you think about like stroll songs, there are plenty of songs that are not necessarily like official stroll songs, but you know when you're at a party and you hear, if you're at homecoming and you hear certain songs come on, you know you're moving out the way because there's about to be a line of folks cutting through you, doing their steps. And they're not always like these respectable songs, right? So I think that I like the respectability politics of it, where I think some people are coming from. It's like, why would you have this man in here that has all these like raunchy songs. But it's like, why can't, if I'm a grown adult, these women who are like, you kept saying these women are 60, but if they're 60 now, they were probably in college or post college, listening to this music, dancing to it in the clubs.
If they were 60, they would be in their 30s in the 90s.
Okay, in the 90s, they were in the clubs.
Yeah.
So they were in the clubs listening to this music. So I could understand why it'd be like, okay, this was fun. Now, to me, if you were going to pick a rapper from Florida, I would have suggested Trina because she's the baddest bitch. But also, I feel like she would have at least adhered to what they were talking about. Like, she would have adhered to any rules and regulations. I don't think Trick Daddy, the man who was constantly telling us how he loves to eat ass and have his ass eaten on live TV and all the other random things that he likes to say, I don't think that he has any sort of, like, real respect for women where he would respect something you said. I feel like if he was at a Kappa, Omega, Sigma event, I feel like he would have adhered to the rules and regulations more than him being there, because I just don't feel like he has respect for women.
So to me, AKA didn't do their homework. They hired somebody that they maybe didn't fully understand.
No.
They thought that they could rein him in. They couldn't, and that's just what it is.
I would not say that they probably thought that they didn't understand who he was. I think they probably wanted to have a fun time. They talked to him like, when you have a contract with someone in place, I feel like that contract should be adhered to, right? Like, we know who you are, we know your music, like just the same way as if they would have had, if like Trina was in his camp, she has also raunchy songs. If they said, Trina, do you want to come like to perform? This is what we did. I think she would adhere to it. I think where the problem was is not that they didn't know about his music. They didn't know, maybe weren't paying attention to who he is as a person, and thought that because they're such a large group and like this would be a big opportunity for him, because like honestly, who's booking Trick Daddy? Probably why they were even able to get him in the first place, because his fees probably like $10,000 because nobody else cares to hire him.
But then I'd go into that, but AKA cares.
Well, yeah, because he's from. It's like we're in Florida. We're in Florida.
Like it's hard for me to. It's hard for me to sit here and be like, oh, nobody cares about.
No,
but they cared enough to hire him.
Trick Daddy is someone in hip hop and in black music who I feel like we all know and love the music, right? But I feel like most recently, in the last few years, nobody's hiring Trick Daddy to do anything. So this should be like, you should be excited and listening to whatever these folks tell you to do, so you could get on this circuit. These type of like older folk events, older black folk will pay money to come to these events, right? I've been to like events where they are geared towards older black people, and they will spend money to see you. Doesn't matter whether they're going to sit down, stand up the whole time. They're going to spend their money, and they will go where they'll follow you on a cruise. They'll follow you to a music festival. They'll do all these things if you just act right.
But again, I go back to it. Trick Daddy's Trick Daddy. You know what I mean? Like he has showed who he is. He has presented himself as who he is. He has his own radio show. He's talked at length. There's enough information and enough evidence to show who he is. With that information, you can make the informed decision to hire Trick Daddy if you want, based on that information, and then go from there. What I hear, quite frankly, is that AKA hired somebody that they thought that they could control, or they thought that if they laid down some rules, he would follow, without really understanding or knowing that Trick Daddy's probably not the guy who will do that. And they got burned in the end. And honestly, that's just what it is. If you do business with somebody, you should know who you're working with. Mm-hmm. That's just what it is. You should understand who you're working with when you enter into a business agreement. And AKA entered into a business agreement with Trick Daddy. I'm a thug. And they got some thug shit. Oh, well, that's just what it is.
Trick Daddy responded. So I'm going to play his response real quick. Because he is not backing down from what he feels like he was well within his right to.
So here's the thing. To whoever your organization is, I don't care if you're the director, the president, I don't give a fuck what you is to this organization. Don't use my name to save face with your motherfucking self. Don't lie on me. That's the definition of my character. Don't motherfucking defamate my character. Okay? Don't defamate my motherfucking character. Don't do that. So I make sure y'all can hear me. First of all, I want to make sure I'm loud and clear so y'all can hear me. So when I tell y'all this, do not defamate my character. I see a post with a director of the AKA game, or whatever the fuck she's supposed to be. No disrespect to the AKAs. Most highly respected, some of the most beautiful, attractive, and successful women that I know are AKAs. So no disrespect to y'all. This is for y'all regional director who got me totally fucked up. Don't lie on my motherfucking name. But let me explain something to you. The AKAs had their regional conference in Orlando, and they booked me to perform. Trick Daddy Dollars. Yeah, they booked me to perform. I want y'all to tell me in the comments. I want to know when it's time for Trick Daddy to perform at your event. What the fuck you think he gonna perform? So the girl name is Tiffany Moore something. Tiffany, the director, the region of the Southeast region director. You should have stayed off social media, put my name involved in there, because I heard you running for some type of office or something. I would get on your ass every day until you won't motherfucking win. Don't play with me. Don't play. That's right. So I'm performing for the AKAs, and yeah, I do jump on the D. That's one of my records. You should have known that when you booked me. But don't put out no statement talking about you told me what the motherfucker, you gave me a playlist. You can't give me no motherfucking playlist. This ain't your wedding. Fuck wrong with you? I ain't no shorty. I ain't no little ass boy. Anybody that was in that Sadiddy and was sanctified, they should not been in there once I grabbed that motherfucking mic. I ain't asked to be there, y'all. And I gave you, y'all motherfucker get the rest of my motherfucking money. Do not use me to save face. I ain't the motherfucking one. Don't play with me. And I ain't mean to call you no hoe.
Hey, man, I flew out to Orlando.
Okay.
Oh. Trick
Again.
Daddy, and he responded in exactly the way that I would have expected.
Exactly, because that's who Trick Daddy is.
Yeah.
If someone shows you who they are,
Believe them.
Believe them.
So it's one of those things where, now, first of all, the defamate, that was taking me out. But this is going to be a he said, she said. She's saying they had a conversation. They asked him to adhere to specific rules and regulations. He's saying that didn't happen, and they're trying to cover up because they're embarrassed that the women that were there were not, they didn't like the performance, and they walked out, which we saw lots of them walking out. But even at the end of the clip of the show, and the woman was like, we went too far. I feel like these are things where it's like, it could be possible that she had a lapse in judgment, and not a lapse in judgment of booking him, but a lapse in judgment to who the women were who were coming to the conference. Because there are some women, regardless of how old they are, who would be there enjoying the concert. They wouldn't have gotten bristled by him saying pussy or dick or whatever, cursing and all that, and it just would have gone past them. But obviously the response from the women was, we don't like this shit, so we're walking out. And so now it's really, for none of us were in the room when these conversations were happening. So I think that it goes back to just like, you got to be careful who you book for events, and recognizing who your audience is.
Understandable. I personally, I don't feel bad for the AKA organization. You hired Trick Daddy to perform at your event, and you got Trick Daddy to perform at your event. I am sorry that some people were not feeling him, but if I'm understanding correctly, you hired Trick Daddy, you promoted Trick Daddy, you got Trick Daddy. For the people who hired Trick Daddy, you got Trick Daddy. For the people who went to the event seeing that Trick Daddy was gonna be there, you got Trick Daddy. At every level of this, you were informed as to what you were gonna get, and you got what you got.
Yeah.
So
like,
I don't feel bad in any way, shape, or form regarding any of this.
And I don't think that Tiffany, if she was the one in charge, I don't think she should get any pushback from this, because all these women, for as long as they knew about this conference and as long as they knew about Trick Daddy being there, had time to lodge a complaint. But I don't majority of those women probably knew who Trick Daddy was. Whether or not they listened to him in the past, they could easily look him up and be like, okay, who's this? But I doubt, unless they were like 85 and up, and even then, when my nana was 70 years old and knew a lot of the raunchy things and songs and things like that. So it's like, this is something that could have been lodged before he came there. Once it was announced, if you thought that was going to be like distasteful to you. And also there were women, even though we saw women walking out, we also heard women in the back singing and screaming the songs.
Yeah.
So we can't let respectability run our lives. And I don't think she should get in trouble for this. I also don't think Trick Daddy should get in trouble for this unless they pull out a contract that says, I'm not going to say this, and that. It just has to it's like one of those things where it's like, miscommunication or fuck up on the fact of hiring this man. But let's just leave it at that.
Personally, I think the fault is on the booker and the organization that booked Trick Daddy. Because again, do research for who you want to be at your organization.
I still think Trina should.
And that's just what it is.
If it was anyone, I think it should have been Trina. Because
Sure.
she's the baddest.
Sure.
But they probably couldn't afford her, and Trick Daddy is cheap.
Sure. There you go.
So.
And that's that. All right. And staying on artists for just a second, let's talk about how artist fan bases can change over time.
Well, that is very apropos for our next conversation. Kanye West had I think he had like 2 or 3 nights at SoFi Stadium in California. And I mean, I didn't care. It was streaming. I didn't watch the stream because I didn't care about watching it because I don't care about anything Kanye West does. He just put out a new album. Don't know what it sounds like because I have no interest in listening to it. But there was a clip that's been circulating around of some folks who people were kind of, I don't know what to say, confused, concerned, curious about, in how this fan base looks vastly different from Kanye's previous albums and previous concerts. So let me play the clip really quick. So they're mosh pitting. It's a bunch of white guys and a sprinkling of black and brown folks, but majority white guys moshing.
Yeah, they're pushing each other, they're kicking each other.
Punching. Not much dancing is going on.
Not actual rhythmic dancing going on. It's first off, no rhythm at all whatsoever. Yeah, definitely crowd surfing and moshing.
But also, this is just not there are some artists like a young Uzi Vert, right, who you might have. You could imagine there might be a mosh pit because he has more of like an alt rock, hip hop type of sound and persona. But I wouldn't categorize Ye.
They're not even jumping in rhythm, quite frankly. Like the jumping doesn't even match up to the BPMs of the song that Kanye is playing. So
and they're also like he's doing Niggas in Paris, and of course the white folks are screaming it out, lyric for lyric, word for word, without any qualms. Because why would they be? There's a bunch of white kids. Probably all right white kids who are there. And I think that, like, when you think about Kanye West when we were younger, going from George Bush hates black people on one end.
Well, George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Oh, sorry, doesn't care about black people. To the other end, having a Heil Adolf song and everything in between, the audience has changed. And I feel like, to me, if I think of it encapsulates the reasons why I am no longer interested in him as an artist, regardless of how talented he is, if he's a musical genius, any of those things. I think that who your audience is kind of a testament to the type of artist that you are.
For the evolution of Ye's audience, it obviously has changed significantly from the quote unquote old Kanye to quote unquote the new Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously back in the day, it was primarily black people, you know, like his old stuff from college dropout to graduation and stuff. Like, it was primarily us who was, you know, promoting him, encouraging him, supporting him, and everything like that.
Also, I would say even at that time, there were still a lot of white people that liked his music.
Yeah, white people loved
white people
like
like
Kanye
hip-hop.
back then too.
They like R&B. Like, there are plenty of concerts I've been to where I'm looking around and I'm like, oh, there's a lot more white people here than I expected. But white people are fans of hip hop and R&B.
Sure.
So I don't find it odd, but it's the type of white people that are at these concerts that changes. Like, the white boys at the college dropout concert are not the same white boys that are at this most recent one.
Sure.
And I think that it calls into question why anyone really is at, anyone who talks about like that they're woke or has any sort of mindfulness of issues, why anybody would be there. And there were a lot of celebrities that were there who I'm side-eyeing. That goes to Eunice Nash, of like why you would be giving this man any money when he's been a Trump supporter. He's been anti-LGBTQ, IA+. He's been anti-black people and black women. You know, the sexual allegations against him. I mean, there's a running list of things where it's like, why would anyone choose to spend money to watch his performances?
So, for me, look, I'm going to be honest. Back in the day, I was a huge Kanye West fan.
Mm-hmm.
Big time fan. To the point where back in high school, I started wearing pink polos and shit and I was a backpack kid.
Not Cameron?
No. Like, I didn't gravitate towards Cameron. Kanye spoke to me because he was this nerdy black kid. He was into fashion.
Mm-hmm.
He was a backpack kid, and it spoke to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he was doing something different and authentic for the time. It just was different than the rap and hip hop that was coming out at that time.
Yeah, for sure.
And it spoke to me. And honestly, was a huge fan of his from, let's say, College Dropout and before to, like, and if I'm going to be completely honest, Kanye got me through one of my first heartbreaks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had a high school sweetheart, and in college, we were still dating. She cheated on me notoriously, and it got me through, his 808s and heartbreaks got me through a particular dark time in my life. You know, I just remember being in Slow Hall at Howard University, bumping, you know, not Love Lockdown. What was the song?
On 808s and Heartbreaks?
Yeah, the Coldest Winter. Because it was winter, and it was the coldest. And I honestly stood with Kanye for arguably way longer than realistically I should have.
Mm-hmm.
But once he started doing the, you know, mustache man supporter stuff, I couldn't rock with it, especially because, like, me and my best friend Sam, we gravitated towards each other because of our love and appreciation for Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
But once he started doing all that shit, it was like, well, obviously he can't support Kanye at that point, and I can't support Kanye at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it sucks, and it is hard for me because I understand from the other aspect of he has a documented and he has spoken about his mental illness of being bipolar. I myself am bipolar. Like, and I can understand from a mental health point of like crashing out. At the same time, I've never crashed out and said that I was a Mustache Man supporter.
Yeah.
I've never crashed out and made a song hailing that guy.
Yeah.
I've never crashed out and talked about having intimate relationships with my cousin. I have never done any of those things. So it just became super hard to support Kanye West. And he lost me as a fan.
Yeah.
He lost me. Like, every now and then I will listen to a Kanye West production and it will make me harken back to the old days of his stuff. But it's hard for me to want to jump at the prospect of listening to anything new. Like, I have not listened to the new Bully album because I just can't support him. I know that he put out a New York Times or New Yorker article explaining what happened and apologizing, and I know that he apologized to a rabbi, and you know he's done a lot of stuff, but
He still hasn't apologized to black women.
Well, I mean,
or black people.
He has apologized to black people. I don't know if he specifically apologized to black women, but he's apologized to the black community.
But he hasn't apologized to black women who he has within this space that he's been in, like, ostracized and criticized. I mean, like, yes, you could apologize to black people for saying, Harriet Tubman wasn't freeing the slaves and like slavery was a choice.
Slavery was a choice, yeah.
But I think that there's just been so many things that are coming out and that he's constantly doing that it's like, I understand that you might have some mental health crises going on, but like you said, you also deal with being bipolar. And have never had these specific situations happening. And to me, it's like sometimes your mental health will cause you to do things out of character. And then sometimes it's things that you're doing that are within your character that you just you're no longer able to hide. And so for me, I'm like, you have so much money. You have so much access and so many resources. So you've spent a greater part. So the last album that I like listened to and for real was Yeezus. That came out in 2013.
You didn't listen to The Life of Pablo?
I probably did, but I don't really remember it. I think Yeezus is the last one that I remember like actively listening to, because I feel like Life of Pablo, when that came out, I feel like he had already been on some weird stuff. Because that came out in 2016.
I think Life of Pablo came out like maybe around the time that he was on some Slavery is a Choice shit.
And that was when, like, because it came out in 2016. That's when he came out as like a Trump supporter and all that. So like,
I think
even if it wasn't before because the album came out Valentine's Day 2016.
Because I think the Trump supporting came around Jesus is King.
You don't think? I feel like before that. Well, who knows? I don't know.
I don't remember the timeline of Ye's nonsense. But I think that
like Life of Pablo, I probably listened to it, but there was nothing memorable about it for me to be like, oh, like this is really good, or reminds me of like why I love Kanye or whatever. But it was a start of the time when he was saying bullshit things. So since then, I'm like, you haven't done really anything to help your cause or to show me that you've grown or changed in a new light. And I think of all the amalgamation of things happening, I'm just not interested. As much as I think that he is a creative genius, I think he's extremely talented musically. I think that like I did enjoy the rap that he was bringing in, because it was like the backpack rapper rap I definitely enjoyed more than most rap artists that were out around that time. So like it's unfortunate that he has taken this turn, But then it's like looking at his concerts now, like I wouldn't want to be at that concert.
I would not want to be at a
I
Kanye
wouldn't feel
West
safe
concert.
at that concert.
I would
when
not.
You have
I would
all
not.
these like incels. Like, look at the way he treats his wife, Bianca, whatever.
Which one? Oh, Bianca. Okay.
I mean, the way the way he treated Kim was also very shitty. But like the way that he treats Bianca is even shittier. Like the way that he always has her outside dressed in like a toothpick, and then like just all of these various things that have come out since then. I do not feel like there's anything about him that is currently redeemable or something that I could support, because I just feel like if you have all this money and all this ability to help yourself and you're actively not doing it, that is where I have to like throw my hands up in the air and be like, "Ayo, I'm saying hell no," because you, unlike other people who are dealing with mental health crises, whatever, you have the ability to help yourself and you're choosing not to because you don't want to. You don't actually want the help. And maybe now, he might be starting to see that it has been harming him. And so he's walking it back. But I don't personally feel like there's any true growth going on here outside of him just wanting to make money. And he's going to keep making money because people are at his concerts. People are coming. They're going to buy the album. They're going to go to the concerts. He's very talented. So you're going to go to this concert and you're going to be like, wow, I'm so glad I went to this because look at how well he did. I'm sure people could enjoy the concert experience. But I personally do not have to support you. There's enough people who will be around to support you doing whatever you want to do. And whenever he wants to revert back to throwing his arm up in the air and being bigoted and anti-Semitic and anti-black and anti-women and all those things, he will do it. And then people are going to be making excuses for him yet again.
It's going to be a long time of actually witnessing what Ye does moving forward before I come back to any form of appreciation for his music. And that's that. And that's just that. And that actually brings us to something that I feel is a little bit bigger. Who really owns what they create?
It's a question of IP.
Yes, this is an IP question.
Well, I would say if I thought about who owns what you create, it would be the creator. But then it gets sticky.
It gets sticky
when what you're creating like becomes a part of like the cultural zeitgeist. And you give it over to somebody else, because once it's out of your hands, then it starts to become like it starts to become just a part of popular culture that could make it a little bit difficult.
All right, so set us up. Like, what are we talking about?
So Darren Henson, who is, I mean, for us, a famous choreographer, because throughout the late 90s, 2000s, he was choreographing everything. You could see his work everywhere. And he famously choreographed NSYNC's Bye 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 video.
Yes.
And I actually remember him being in the making the video.
Yeah, making the video for
that.
MTV's making the video.
MTV's making the video.
Sure.
And him being there, teaching them the steps, going over everything. But he has filed a lawsuit against Sony Music Holdings because he's alleging that the company has allowed his work to be used without his approval in things like Deadpool and Wolverine and the video game Fortnite.
Sure.
So he filed this March 27th, so pretty fairly recently. He says that he is the rightful owner of the choreography and that Sony does not have the ability to license it. For me personally, I hope he wins this because I think Black people should get their just desserts and the money that they're due for being cultural creators. and often not getting what we deserve from that, like any of the recognition. Because I know, like I said, for art class, like I'll play music in the background, and like sometimes like a NSYNC video might come on and the kids all know it, and I'll be like, well, how did you hear about this, whatever? Because this came out when we were in middle school, and they're like, oh, Fortnite or from Deadpool. So it's now like a resurgence of the choreography. And I think that what we have seen throughout the years when it comes to like TikTok choreography and the way those dances blow up, they become a part of the like pop culture, zeitgeist or whatever. And like there's always a conversation of who created it, because a lot of times a black creator has done the moves, a white TikTok influencer sees it, does it poorly, and then starts making money off of it, right? Sure. So he wants his money, and he said that the choreography has been rebranded in ways that disconnect it from its original creator, with the routine now widely associated with the Deadpool and Wolverine film versus his work. And, I understand that. I mean, the same way as if you are a songwriter, you're an artist, you want your work to be connected with you and not some random person or a random film.
Sure. Like when he choreographed that, it was specifically for the one NSYNC music video, Bye Bye Bye. Mm-hmm. Didn't really want to make it tough. Had enough. Understandable. And honestly, it's an iconic dance move and dance movement. So it makes sense to me that he would want to get some compensation for that.
Yeah, because
it makes sense.
If like, other people are getting compensation for it.
Mm-hmm. He made it iconic.
Mm-hmm.
They, being Disney, made it profitable.
Yes.
Essentially.
And he brings up that point because he said that Nick Pauli, who performed the dance in the film, he's getting money from it, but Darren himself is not getting any compensation or credit. So you think like once it goes like Bye Bye Bye, that came out in what, 2001 or something like that, maybe 1999, 2001 or whatever. So this is like 20 plus years since this video came out. Now coming from this film, this other person's making money from it. What about me? Mm-hmm. And who knows, maybe he contacted them and said like, hey, what's going on? Can I get a cut? And they did it, and now this is his final recourse. But I feel like go off, get your money, because his stance is that he created choreography for the video, which came out in 1999. Mm-hmm. He never signed a work for hire agreement that would transfer his rights, which is good on him, because I think a lot of folks from that time and even now, they don't know how to keep their work within their own trust or whatever. Like they make something, it does really well, it goes viral, that's it. And I think that we have to be able to give people credit when it's due, especially Black creators, because how much of what we've brought into the culture is not, we're not getting compensation from it or the credit. Because there's always a story of, like, for instance, the Super Soaker, right?
Sure.
The black man who created the Super Soaker, we didn't know about that man for decades.
Nobody knew that a black man created. It's so weird to think. Honestly, it's very weird to think that a black man came up with the idea of a water gun. Mm-hmm. In a dark way, it's very weird to think that a black man created the exact toy that would get a lot of black children murked.
Yes, well, that's true. But he created it, and it was his. And no one ever said anything. They didn't give him any money. And then decades later, they had to end up paying him millions of dollars, right?
Sure.
So I feel like he should, Darren Henson, get your money. Because those Henson tapes.
Did you just say Dear Evan Hansen?
No.
It sounded like he said, "Dear Evan Hansen."
Dear Darren Henson.
Dear Darren Henson.
Please get your money. Okay?
Maybe that'll
Because
be the episode title.
we know that remember he used to have those choreography videos that would sell for like on the whatever Home Shopping Network or whatever.
Sure.
Those aren't going anywhere anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs some credit. He needs some money. He has a family and all that to take care of. His hard work and his creativity deserves to be compensated.
I do believe that he should be compensated. I do believe that he should be compensated. My question, though, is that, like, when it comes to ownership, is it an issue of him owning the dance, or is it an issue of him being credited for the dance?
I think that the issue is him.
You know what I mean? Like he wants money for having created the dance.
Well,
my question is like, should we say that he was the creator of the dance, or should we focus on him receiving the real royalties for having created the dance? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, which is more important, having created an iconic dance or being compensated for creating a iconic dance?
Honestly, to me, it's both, right? I think that he should be credited for the creation of the dance and also be compensated. And here's why. He created this dance in 1999 for this iconic NSYNC music video where he was compensated, he was credited, we all knew that was him. Now, decades later, his work is being revamped and put into new IP, whether that's the video games or it's movies. And there are people who are making money off of his creation, his hard work. Because I don't know about you, but as a kid, me and my sister and our friends, cousins, all that, we would always be choreographing a little dance to something. Like, it's not something that's easy. It might be something you try to do as a kid and it's like fun or whatever. But when you're talking about like an actual choreographer who puts their blood, sweat, and tears into their work, like, that's not something that it can just be thrown away. And I think that because of the fact that it is being repurposed and brought back into the pop culture space in a new way, I think he should 100% both be compensated and credited.
So here's the thing. For me, I think he should be compensated. Absolutely. I think he should get the credit for having created it. Mm-hmm. Understandable. I will say, this might be a bit of a hot take, but he made the dance. I wouldn't necessarily say he made the dance iconic.
Well, he
created the thing.
He created an iconic dance.
He created the dance, and he should get credit for that, for having created the dance. But he himself did not make the dance iconic.
But, okay,
NSYNC
made the dance iconic, but NSYNC would not have had the ability to make the dance iconic without him.
I'm not speaking, this could be a chicken or egg thing.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is he should get credit for having created the dance, and he should get credit and get proper compensation for the dance continuing to be in use to this day. However, it is popular for what it is because of NSYNC doing the dance.
Well, okay, I think about it like in modern times.
It's popular because NSYNC had it in their video.
Well, I think about it in modern times.
He created it, but they made it popular.
When you think about like black TikTokers who are just on there having fun, they'll be making a dance, right? And then a white TikToker with a lot more followers, they do the dance, and then it starts really going viral.
That's different. The only reason why that's different is because his literal job was teaching them how to do that dance. Those TikTokers, they literally took a thing from somebody else who made the thing and then made it their own.
Mm-hmm.
The demarcation for me is that he was hired to teach NSYNC to do the dance, and then they did that dance and they made that dance iconic.
Yes.
Whereas the TikTokers, they did the original ones did not create those dances.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the original ones created the dances, but they didn't teach those other TikTokers to make those dances popular. They took those dances and made them popular. That's where the demarcation lies for me. It's different. It's not the same. It's not a one-to-one comparison to me. He had a job. He did his job. He should be credited for his job, and he should get compensated for his job. But at the end of the day, it was his job to tell NSYNC to do this movement, and they did that movement well. They did it so well that it became iconic.
But I think that's the
So
thing. When you're talking about choreography, the nature of it is that the person who creates it is the one. If in this instance, the person who's creating it is putting some sort of has IP over it and has those rights over it, then if he's saying he never signed over his rights, then yes, he taught the people who put this dance out that made it iconic. But without him, there would not have been that iconic dance. So I think that's where it's like...
I agree with you with that. I'm just saying that he should be compensated and he should be credited for having created the dance.
So do you think that... So you're saying that you feel like his lawsuit against Sony is valid?
It's valid in that he created it and he should be compensated.
Yeah.
He did not make that dance as popular as it is.
He didn't make the dance popular and Sync did. But I think that Sony would have done better because he contacted them privately to maybe get a settlement or whatever about this. They weren't listening to it.
Sure.
So now it becomes a bigger thing because when I come to you and say, hey, I have the rights to this dance.
Sure.
I created it.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from my brain. I'm the one that made it happen. Of course, NSYNC took that dance. It went crazy viral because of who they were. Mm-hmm. But I'm responsible for that. And so I want to be paid if it's going to be used in various places. They did not take that opportunity because they're a big, huge company. Mm-hmm. They probably felt like, whatever, fuck you. This isn't going to go anywhere. But now we're going to have to see. I mean, I hope he gets as much money as he could possibly get.
Sure. Now, would you say that do owners actually own anything anymore?
Well, I think it's hard because when you're talking about intellectual property, there are certain markers you have to hit for something to be like yours, right? Like, obviously, we have all seen on social media when you'll see sometimes a quote somebody makes or a joke someone makes on Twitter. You could see that 1,000 times, right? Because someone's copying and pasting it. They're resharing it as their own or whatever. So in that sense, a lot of times, no. I think it depends on what it is. If it's a song, if it's, an article or something like that, then perhaps like a stand-up. But I think that a lot of times are just individual thoughts that we're typing out. Those aren't new because they're going to become what is the word? They're going to become some sort of viral talking point, and then people are going to be using it forever, which is why folks when you see something on Twitter or Instagram or whatever and you screenshot it and you reshare it, it's like that original person's not getting that credit. Sure. And there's reasons why there are now companies who, like when you see that cute video of the dad and his daughter dancing, you have to contact them before you reshare it because they have put some sort of IP protection around it and now they want to get their money back.
Sure.
Because it's like in the world of social media, nothing is yours, and now especially with AI, things are becoming even increasingly not connected to the person who created it.
Okay, sure. That makes sense. All right. And speaking about money and ownership, let's take things a step further. Let's talk about Jay-Z.
All right. Well, Jay-Z is a black billionaire. He reached $1 billion, I want to say, was it maybe 10 years ago? I think, did he reach $1 billion because of, I'm not sure if you know, because I honestly don't, if it was because of him and Beyonce's net worth together, or did he reach billionaire status because of just his work on his own?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I don't know off the top of my head.
Because I know, like, it's probably been maybe 5 to 10 years since he's reached billionaire status.
Sure.
I would say that's probably because of he and Beyonce's net worth together, and what they've each created. So, you know, obviously people have had a lot of words about this, because even when I remember when he and Kanye put out the Watch the Throne albums, people were like, well, they didn't feel they connected to the music because he's talking about how many Maseratis he owns or whatever. And they didn't feel like it connected to them, who are longstanding Jay-Z fans from when he's hustling to now he's this, you know, he's not a businessman, he's a business
man. Let me handle my business. Damn. He officially reached billionaire status in 2019.
Okay. So it's been a few years. And he had a conversation with GQ regarding just his career and what it means to be a billionaire, and like what kind of, I would say, responsibility that has. So let's play the beautiful bean footage. So he was speaking with Fraser Tharp from GQ, and this is what he's had to say about his feelings on being a millionaire and what his responsibility is for that.
I want to go back to this idea we were talking about just doing things the right way, even when that comes to like attaining wealth and continuing to amass wealth. We're talking about B-sides. One of your illest lines to me is face to the ceiling, race to $1 billion, heaven on earth, will his wings still fit him? So like, what's the answer to that question? Is it a constant struggle to maintain?
Your morality defines who you are, right? It's not what you've attained. It's not a dollar amount that changes you.
Yeah.
And if so, what is that dollar amount? When does it start? Is it 100,000? Is it 150? Like, at what point, if it's a cutoff, if it's like all millionaires are bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So at 999,000, I'm good. It can't be that way, right? It doesn't make any sense. The system is set up against me, against us. But I'm talking about my specific struggle.
Yeah.
Everything was against me. My talent, not taking advantage of people, not taking advantage of a system, not creating tax loopholes, not just taking from other people. No, my talent pushed against all the headwind. And with that success, I've done things with my reach that I wanted to do that was helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And with the system that we have, what are you going to do? Because I don't believe in that the idea that someone has a certain amount of money, it defines their personality.
So when you have like an example like that versus like the kind of, I would say, commonplace public perception that someone would say all billionaires are bad or no one should have $1 billion. Like, what's the tension in that?
I got to give you the honest answer.
Please.
There's no tension.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what you say. You can believe what you want to believe.
Word.
You know, people behave the way they want to behave.
You was who you was before you got here.
Was who you was before you got here.
Yeah.
That's the makeup of your person. You're going to believe what you're going to believe, and you're going to behave the way you behave.
You're looking at a year that you defined to me as all offense. And, you know, you said that you made scratches and they sounded kind of like fiery and maybe not anything you want to put out. So it made me wonder, like, what are the hallmarks of a great Jay-Z album right now? Like, what do you...
We could cut off the part after when the guy starts talking again.
Sure. And just for the record, Jay-Z became a billionaire in 2019. Beyonce became a billionaire in 2025.
Okay.
As a couple, they became a billionaire couple in 2017. But individually, he became a billionaire in 2019 and Beyonce became a billionaire in 2025.
All right. Now, do you agree with what he was saying about, like, he has created this, dynasty, and this career and all of this money based on his hard work versus exploiting people? Because I think that's where what I've seen, that is what people have been debating online.
I think that both are true. I think that through Jay-Z's creativity and through Jay-Z's hustle, he created wealth for himself. But he didn't do that without exploitation. He didn't do that without stepping on people. He gamed the system, essentially. Yeah. Like, he took the system for what it was. He saw the Matrix for what it was, and he played it to his level. You know what I mean? But he didn't do that in isolation. You don't become a billionaire ethically. You don't become a billionaire without stepping on people, without exploiting people, without just doing some shady shit, even if you're doing it indirectly.
And even if you don't even realize, you may not be specifically coming out there to do shady shit, but I don't think it is possible to become a billionaire without, like you said, stepping on people.
Yeah.
Because
it's the same hustle. He's just wearing a suit now.
Yeah, because first of all, you begin your career, you were in the drug game. So to say that you never took advantage of people would be wrong, because I don't think you could be a drug dealer without taking advantage of folks. Right? Like, it wasn't like he was just selling weed, because weed is something where it isn't like addictive in the same way. People aren't rushing to get it from you, and pretty much it's low cost comparatively. But if you're selling crack, heroin, meth, or any of these other things, you know that these are habit forming drugs. So if you're in your community selling to these people, and not just because, and if you think that's your only recourse, that's the only thing you have available for you to do, and you're doing it because of the system that has been created to keep you in this space, but you're still taking advantage, right? Because you know that these folks need what you're selling, they want what you're selling, and they're going to do whatever it takes to get it.
Right.
So I think at that, even the smallest piece of just being able to fund the creation of Rockefeller with drug money, all of the idea of, like, I'm not taking advantage of people falls to the wind, because it's those two things are impossible not to be enmeshed within each other. Then you become this huge rapper, you have your label, you have Rockefeller, we have the Rockefeller clothing, you have the branding, all that. Again, taking advantage of people, because who was making all those snorkels with the fur? Who was making them? They weren't made in America.
Snorkels with the fur?
You don't know what a snorkel is?
A snorkel?
Yeah.
What's a snorkel?
So
I know what a snorkel is.
The snorkel, like when you're in the water, but no, the snorkel was like a puffy jacket, and it usually had a fur trimmed.
Was it called snorkel?
Yeah, it's called a snorkel.
It was called
at least
a snorkel.
in New York. I don't know what it's called other places, but in New York it was called a snorkel.
That doesn't.
I had
seem
one.
true.
Well, it was, because I had one
feels like that.
Google it.
Are you sure?
Google it. Yeah, I'm sure
that it was called a snorkel.
I'm very sure it was called a snorkel. I remember when I first got one, I was in maybe 8th or 9th grade, and we went to Jamaica Ave. No, you gotta put like a snorkel coat. What is a snorkel coat? New York, I guess. That it should be. A parka. See, a snorkel coat or a snorkel parka is a New York heavy-duty waist to quarter-length winter jacket designed to withstand the elements.
That is poor.
You didn't know that?
Branding.
You never heard of that? They didn't call.
I didn't grow up in New York.
What did they call them in Baltimore? I thought they called them that like everywhere. I didn't know that was a specific New York terminology.
No. They did not. Well, they didn't call it a snorkel coat.
Oh, well, I had a snorkel and it had the fur rim. It had a Rockaware on the back. I remember coming to school after that Christmas being like, "Ow, bow, bow."
That is crazy.
And so, but if I looked at the tag, I'm sure that would have said made in another country because they weren't making them in America because the cost of making clothing in America is high. So usually most companies, it's not Jay-Z specific, most companies are outsourcing the creation of their goods to countries with lower GDP so they can take advantage of those rates. So then again, taking advantage. Now, would I say in regards to like artists, I don't think that Jay-Z has moved in the same way as like a Diddy musically specific, where he's like getting artists to come on and taking all their money and things like that. I've never heard anything like that about Jay-Z and how he's moved in the business. But I think that there are various ways that you take advantage of folks. When you have unpaid interns at Rockefeller, that is taking advantage because we know that these interns are coming to you to get experience, to get your name on their resume because they want to be able to find a job in the industry, preferably with you, but just in general in the industry. And if I were to say, let's pull up all these folks who worked as interns at Rockefeller, where are they now? You know, are they running companies on their own? Are they working in the music business? Or are they, like many of us, just adrift in this fucking bullshit late stage capitalism? So I think that it's disingenuous to say that you've never taken advantage of someone versus saying like you have worked the system in the best way possible and the most morally acceptable way possible that you could, because all these things he was doing were within the systems that were already set up. He didn't create anything new, right? And of course, as a millionaire and a billionaire, he has done things for his community. He's given back financially. He's tried to uplift his community, put money in to create centers and things like that. So it's like, you're not a monster. But I think that billionaires have to be mindful of the fact that you cannot be a billionaire and also be ethical. And in your, whatever your description of ethics is, it can't, the two things are mutually exclusive.
Okay, that makes sense. Final note. Can you be a billionaire and still be a good person?
Well, it depends. What do you mean by good person? I mean, that's the question. What is a good person? Is a good person someone who, you know, you see someone less fortunate than you, so you give them $20, you put some things in your community that can help out folks who are coming up behind you?
Your decision.
I honestly, I don't know. I think that there's obviously very different types of billionaires, right? I think that if you were in the music industry or an artist, I think that it's a difference between that and someone who like owns a corporation. So like the owners of Walmart and Jay-Z, two different type of billionaires, right? Because I think Jay-Z, even within being a billionaire, he has gotten to that stage because of his hard work.
Sure.
He's done a lot of hard work and also created businesses that have taken advantage of the system in place that takes advantage of other people.
Right.
So I think it's hard it's not cut and dry or black and white. I think that there shouldn't be billionaires and that we should be very mindful of like how we're constantly trying to push this agenda of, you know, billionaires are bad unless they're black, right? Because just because you're a black billionaire doesn't make you any better. It doesn't make the things you're doing any better.
Right.
And being a billionaire in itself, when you have millions of people in your own country, within your community suffering, it feels wrong, regardless of how many times you donate to a charity for a tax break that's going to help the community.
Sure. That makes sense. From what I can see, when it comes to billionaires, even if it is an artist that I personally like and support and appreciate, like Jay-Z, you can't be a ethical billionaire. Unfortunately, you can't. Like, at some point, to get to that billion, you had to exploit or use somebody else's talent or prowess, like, in an unethical way. So Jay-Z, Beyonce, what have you, they all got their billion on the backs of some labor that they did not ethically produce or source. So that's just what I'm saying. There's no such thing as an ethical billionaire, and that's just what it is. There just isn't.
Yeah, I agree. As much as we don't like it, because in our capitalistic society, we want this idea that all of us can be billionaires, but we can't, because if we were all billionaires,
you're working on the backs of someone else who's working a lot harder and getting paid a lot less than you.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. And while we're talking about how these industries operate, what's happening behind the scenes is a whole different story.
Yeah. There's a lot more people who are being taken advantage of and also doing a lot of hard work without getting any kind of pay. So I think that we spoke about Jonathan Majors with, what's his name? Ben Shapiro.
Sure.
I feel like we talked about that a few episodes ago.
Yes,
that
we
he was
did.
working on a movie with him. So, just this past week, a clip came out where apparently it's showing Jonathan and one of his co-stars in a little bit of an accident, which caused some uproar on the set. So let's take a little bit of a sneak peek into this issue to see why folks on the set have been up in arms.
Sure. The audio will start in a little bit.
And camera set. Here we go, guys. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, action! No!
It's terrible.
It is terrible.
Yeah. Good? I'm good. You good?
I'm good, man.
Did we shoot it?
We shot it.
Use it. I'm good.
We're okay.
I'm good. I'm good. Good.
Okay, guys. Be careful of the glass, guys.
I love the idea that as soon as they said action, the unspoken character in the scene, Gravity, said, "I'm about to shine."
Yes.
You know?
They did. The thing that I hated worst about this clip is the way that Jonathan Majors was holding his gun. because it doesn't make. Why would you be holding the gun like that? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you be holding it like that? At what point? I'm not a gun user.
He made an actor choice that
I'm not a gun user, but I think holding it like this
I would have to see the script
would make no sense.
to see if it makes sense in the context
Are you
of the
holding
script.
it like this because you're supposed to be like about
For the
to
listeners,
give it up?
he
I
was
don't know.
holding the gun downward.
It didn't make any sense. So, and this is the untitled action movie that he is doing with the Daily Wire and Dallas Sonier's Bonfire Legend. So when this clip came out, it also came with reports that apparently the IATSE has called a strike against the against the production starting March 26th because they are talking about there's different labor issues. So with this scene, the glass was supposed to be changed to, I don't know if it's tempered glass, whatever the glass is that you use in movies that caused it to break easy without having any issues. That was not the glass that was used.
No, it wasn't.
So both Jonathan and his co-star both got a bunch of like nicks and cuts and lacerations. They had to get stitches or whatever for them. But there have apparently been a lot of issues on the set where the crew has now walked off. And the producers of the movie have said that they don't negotiate with communists. Now, I don't know how communists got involved into this debacle,
I don't either.
but it just seems as if you're putting the onus and the like responsibility on other people who are nowhere near involved because of the fact that you don't want to make sure that your cast and crew are safe while filming this movie.
Yeah, I would say that, quite frankly, if you're working, unfortunately, like Jonathan Majors is, outside of Hollywood and Hollywood regulations and Hollywood rules as far as safe filming procedures and stuff, this is what you're going to get, you know? And it's not communism to say, hey, I don't want a set to be filled with hazards and shit like that. It's very telling that the people behind the production are so quick to say, we won't negotiate with communism. That's weird. That's a weird thing to say.
And so all these folks were communists before you hired them, and now, like, were you hiring communists? Were you looking for them?
Or is the practice of wanting a safe working environment to you considered communism? Because I don't think that comes up in the Wikipedia article that I've read about communism. And again, I've only skimmed it, but I never saw anything about working conditions when it comes to filming.
So apparently for the crew, they said that the glass window that was there, it was supposed to be fitted with a different type of glass. It was not. And that the tempered glass that they used was loosely secured in the window. So they both fell out of the sheet of glass, fell 6 feet to the ground. One of the actors required stitches all over his hands. And one crew member said, when I got there, nobody mentioned anything about people falling out the window. It seemed weird to me. So I think, like, honestly, I cackled when I watched this because I hope that everything Jonathan Major does fails. Okay? We just watched The Five Bloods.
We did watch The Five Bloods.
That was my first time watching it.
Jonathan Majors plays a big role in that movie.
And I didn't know he was in the movie at all. Like, only people I knew, of course, like Delroy Lindo, Chadwick Boseman, the, what's his name? The actor with the sheet who just passed away recently.
From The Wire.
Like I knew some of those movies, but I did not know anything about Jonathan Majors in this. And while he's in this movie, I was looking at it and I was like, damn, this is not even damn, but like good for him. This is the last time he's going to be in like a really great cast of people, because whatever Ben Shapiro has you in, like who's going to be your co-stars? Kevin Sorbo, Rick Schneider,
Rob
Schneider.
There's
Can't even
no
remember
Rick
his
Schneider.
name. Because he's well, there's a Rick Schneider, but he's not a Mac guy. He's
Okay.
another child.
Sure.
But like you're gonna be in these fucking terribly cast and produced films by people who know nothing about how to do things properly.
Sure.
And that is your comeuppance for
Sure.
being a terrible human.
Well, what I would say is ultimately that this is the kind of production that you ultimately end up in if you get blacklisted and ousted from Hollywood, and you kind of have to accept it. I'm not saying it's right. I do think that if you are working on any kind of production, even if it is outside of Hollywood, there should be safety requirements in place. I don't want fucking anybody to go through a window and get harmed or anything like that while they're working on a production. In general, I don't think that anybody should work in an unsafe environment. But I will say that this is the kind of stuff that you sign on to if you fuck up. Like, if you Jonathan Major fucked up his career. So now this is the kind of environment that he has to work within. And honestly, if that's what he's working within, he has to take a long, deep, hard look at himself internally to see how he ended up here. And I don't know, work hard to try to either get back there or do some reflection to see how we got here. Period. That's just what it is. That's just what it is.
They also said, the crew also said, so it's not just them leaving because of this incident of the window breaking. I think that was like the cherry on top. But they said that the space was infested with black mold, and they were still told to work in it. There was asbestos. And the special effects supervisor, Chris Bailey, had previously pled guilty to illegal possessions of explosives on a movie set, and that he was prohibited from handling explosive materials because of prior criminal convictions from 2021. So it just wasn't safe for anyone.
You get what you sign up for. You ultimately, that's just what it is. You get what you sign up for. This is what you signed up for. This is what you signed up for.
I don't know if the crew, do you think the crews signed up for this?
Same. That's just what it is. You get what you sign up for.
I don't know if the crew could be, I don't know. I don't think the crew, they're just like coming to a job. They're not the ones who are putting, like, they have less agency, I think, for what they're doing, because they're just trying to work. You know, like in production, it's not as cut and dry as like, oh, I want to be at this production or not.
I do understand that. At the same time, like, you could do research and figure out what you're signing up for.
I don't know if anyone's signing
Let
up for
this be an incident that gets entered into Glassdoor for this production. And then you can research it, and then you can see this production is no good. Avoid it. Yeah. So if anything, this is a Glassdoor insert. This is an insert for Glassdoor. All right. Shall we get to the things that made us mad and the things that made us happy?
Sure.
These are the things that made us mad.
Bringing it. What? We gripe it. We're not griping anywhere else. We gripe it. This takes place for us to share. We gripe it. We ain't griping anywhere else. We gripe it.
All right. What is making you big mad?
All right. So there's this sad story coming out of Florida this week, where a politician has been murdered. You put her picture up. So her name was Nancy Bowen.
Yes.
She was the vice mayor in Coral Springs. She was the first Black woman and first Haitian American woman elected in the area. And unfortunately, she was murdered by her husband. It was a domestic violence situation. He shot her, and unfortunately, she lost her life. And what makes it even sadder is that her brother was actually survived a school shooting several years ago and passed away because he unalived himself. I think it was 3 months ago that he unalived himself. So the family has just been going through a lot of just trauma and sadness. But I think that this just calls it calls into focus domestic violence and how, regardless of how accomplished you are, that, domestic violence is a serious thing that everyone should be paying attention to and taking steps to eradicate. And that men, ban men. Let's ban them. Because there's so many instances where a woman's life is cut short because of a man in her life who was angry, upset, whatever the case may be. And there's no reason why she shouldn't still be here. And the fact that her estranged husband had the ability to have a gun and to take her life is just really disgusting. And I hope he rots in hell. So
I understand and agree. R.I.P. to Nancy.
And we're just praying for her parents, because this is terrible. Like, to lose your son and now your daughter, it's very sad.
I agree. Anything else that's making you mad or upset?
No, nothing I can think about. I think we'll just leave it with Nancy.
Okay. Well, as far as me, quite frankly, we went to a brunch.
Oh, I should have added that. Yes. Okay.
Well, we went to a brunch this weekend. What was it called? Sweet Chick?
Sweet Catch.
Sweet Catch. And yes, I'm going to name the place. We went to Sweet Catch in Brooklyn on Nostrand Ave for a brunch. First off, loud music. I'm not a fan of places where there's loud music, where I have to yell in order to have a conversation. One, I naturally am loud, but I don't like the idea of having to be loud in order to have a conversation. It's one thing if I get to be loud in a conversation versus when I have to mandatorily be loud in a conversation. I don't like that. I do not like any setting where I have to yell, because if I don't, no one will hear me. I don't like that. 2, took us 20 minutes to be seated. We had reservations. If you have reservations, you should, within 10 minutes, be seated.
They told us 10 minutes. It wasn't.
It was not. Next, we went out to the back patio. That shit was hot as fuck. They were not blasting AC at all in any respect. They had a AC unit. It didn't seem like they were using the air conditioner. It seemed like it was a fan at that point. And I don't want to say that they were blasting hot air, but they were not blasting cool air. So that was upsetting. Then we get seated indoors, which is also very loud because there's a DJ. I think no fucking black establishment should have a live DJ at a restaurant at all. If you have a DJ, make the music lower so that they create ambiance, but that they don't dominate the fucking establishment. Next, once we were seated out into the restaurant, we waited for 50 to 65 minutes before we got to a waiter. Nobody took our order at all. They said it was a weird mix up because they thought like, oh, they took our orders out there before they got in here, whatever, right?
But they still should have, even if you did take our order before, you still should check on us to see how we're doing.
Nobody came to check on us. Nobody came to check on our orders or whatever, right? We finally get our meals. My meal was fine.
My meal was also good.
My meal was also fine. Okay, right? They give us the bill. They bill us for both being in the restaurant and on the patio. This place is fucking terrible. Sweet Catch in Brooklyn, you suck, and I hate you, and I hope that you do better. And I don't want you to think that what you're doing is good, because it's not. And quite frankly, I don't want Sweet Catch from Brooklyn to think that I'm, punching down on an establishment. Every restaurant has an opportunity to make a good first impression.
Yeah.
You made a horrible first impression. From the minute we got there to the minute we got to the back, which was hot, to the minute we got in the restaurant, which was loud, to the minute that you forgot about us, and the minute that you, at every step, you created bullshit. And I don't like you. I don't like you, Sweet Catch. Do better. Do better in the future. And I hope that this podcast would force you to do better.
This, unfortunately, adds to my feelings, which is a very hot take, that I feel like black restaurants are scamming black people because they know we want to be at a black-owned establishment. We want to have certain meals, certain food, whatever, ambiance, all that. But they are scamming us for high-priced meals that are not worth it, with not having a good dining experience. Because as much as I love a lit brunch, why is it so fucking loud? I can't hear anything. I want to be able to talk to the people next to me. Like, we could have music without it being a concert level volume. And just in general, service-wise, it's always, And I don't even, and as much as we could talk about the systemic issues in regards to restaurants and, black people not being allowed in, black people have always had black-owned restaurants. Even if it wasn't plentiful, it wasn't a lot, we had to have our spaces. But even within those, we still were able to give good service. And I feel like now, because we're in this, renaissance, that folks are just creating these spaces that look nice, they have a cool menu, whatever, they're gonna have a vibe, but they're not actually trying to service you. And that fucking sucks, because we, No Street Avenue, that's a very black area. We want to have these spaces there to go to. You don't have to travel to Manhattan or whatever to have a nice fine dining space, but not when y'all are on some bullshit.
I agree.
Because it doesn't make me want to go there. And this is my third time being at Sweet Catch. The first time was when they first opened. This was 3 years ago. Food was good. There was some issues, whatever. It wasn't crazy. Next time was for a happy hour that they had. I was like, wow, it seems like they've done better. They had more things in place. But this time is third time, you're out. I don't know what else you could do to get me to get back in there. So
Yeah. Agreed. So, sweet catch, do better. All right. That's what made us big mad. So, next, we are moving on to the things that made us happy.
I'm the baby merchant. Tots are us. I give you all the service and no damn fuss. Give the baby merchant just a week or two. I'll have your baby for you.
Okay, so what's making me happy this week is making plans for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be small. It's going to be intimate. That's how I like it. And I like that.
Right.
Simple as that.
That's it?
That's it.
Well, the things that are making me happy this week. One, we have the Artemis 2 is being piloted to go to the moon this week.
The name of the space shuttle.
Yeah, Artemis is the name of the space shuttle. They're flying for SpaceX, which is neither here nor there. But they're going to the moon, or going around the moon. And this is the pilot right here, this black man with his beautiful black family. His name is Victor Glover, and he is the first black astronaut to go around the moon. So that makes me very happy. I actually wrote about him a few years ago when it was first announced that he was going to be taking on this mission. And I think this is really exciting. We need to have more black people in STEM being recognized for their accomplishments. He's worked really hard. There's no shortcuts when it comes to being an astronaut, at least for my person. There's no shortcuts. And this is a really huge project. So shout out to him and his family for being able to join him in these accomplishments. And then also being able to spend time with my family this week. We had brunch at the terrible sweet catch with my aunt and cousin for Easter. Like, I had a little Easter brunch with them. That was really nice. Obviously, getting to spend time with your family is always great. So love that. And then we had game night with your family, which is always very fun. So just having a very family-oriented weekend. Really love that. So, yeah. And then spending time with my work bestie. Ashley went to Chili's. Baby back ribs. Which was also very fun because that was her first time. So
That was her first time at Chili's? Or
yeah, she had never been to Chili's before.
Oh,
So
okay.
I got to introduce her to Chili's, and we got to enjoy some stuff. We had some baby back ribs, barbecue sauce. It was delicious. The triple dipper. So it was great.
All right. Sounds good. Barbecue sauce. So, with that being said, that's everything. Thank y'all for listening and watching the podcast. We'll be back next week. Until then, take it easy, keep it sleazy. Bye!
Thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like to contact the podcast, you can reach us via email at blackandsnerdypodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Black and Snurdy Podcast, as well as on Twitter at Black and Snurdy. You can find me, Maurice, on all social media under the handle Licorish is Legit. That's LICORISH is legit.
And you can find me on Instagram. It's That'sOD, and on Twitter, THATSOD_E. And don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to us. Tune in next time to the Black and Sturdy Podcast, where nerds of a feather flock together.
Remember?
Bye.
Boy.
Not yet.
No, this is keeping it. We're keeping this in. Don't forget to take your meds and your subs and drink water. Bye.
Bye.
I actually want to keep that.